Hi, I am the list girl. This is my story. I was born in a beautiful country called Portugal, most best known for its wine, its sardines, its beaches, and of course, its football. I was born to two amazing parents, and when I was born, my auntie kept bugging them to have them call me Alexandra, and so my dad caved and called me Alexandra is my middle name. This is both my auntie Elena and Shana when they were in their 90s, and when they were younger they became best friends, and when they grew up and got married they had kids of their own, and we all ended up growing up together. A few months after I was born, my auntie Shana gave birth to Stephen, and 3 years later my auntie Lina gave birth to Isabel, and these two people become a huge part of my life, if not for the rest of my life. Stephen and I used to sing together, we used to dance together, and we used to build worlds together, and we were basically spies, and we would spy on our brothers, and despite being extremely close and having a so-called crush on each other, it just wasn't meant to be, because we both ended up being huge homosexuals. Me and Isabel, on the other hand, we used to play loads of video games. We also used to read books together, we used to draw together, we'd have sleepovers and talk all night about loads of different things. But most importantly, we used to play loads of video games. One of them being the main one being Tomb Raider. She was the brains, I was the courage. Growing up in Portugal, I used to go to the beach quite frequently. And I'd spend many of my afternoons there. We'd get ice cream. I also used to ride my pink BMX quite frequently. And in all honesty, my childhood was absolute bliss. Me and Stephen were so close, live across the street from each other, so we'd hang out a lot, stay at each other's houses, we'd go to nursery together. We also went to church together, where I was baptised at the age of 8 years old, but unfortunately moved to England. Stephen then moved to America. He kept in touch via MSN, then via text message, and now FaceTime, and we sometimes even visit each other. And I became extremely lonely, despite having been really lucky to have Isabel move to England also. She lives several hours away from. Even in primary school, I barely had any friends. And then in high school, I started off with a really huge group, but then they left. And I started to be extraordinarily bullied, and I'd go home every night and cry, think about how lonely I was, and why people were being so mean to me despite being nice to everyone else, and why my parents kept sending me to school though it caused me so much hurt. So I started standing up for myself because no one else would. It got me into a lot of trouble. In my first year of high school, I was suspended 5 times, and then I was sent to counselling for having so-called anger issues. They diagnosed me as having Asperger's syndrome, and at first I was like, yay, I finally have like a reason for why I'm so different. But then a week later I was like, wait, it's because of this that I am treated different. And so I started to hate myself and my Asperger's, and it caused me to have a downward spiral into depression. Then things just got worse. Another one of my best friends, Stephen's brother, ended up in a car crash and he passed away. And I have never felt so much hurt and so much shock and pain in my entire life as that moment. After this happened, my auntie had a heart attack, and my granddad was diagnosed with Alzheimer. I went to go visit my auntie once in hospital, and I tried to feed her soup, but she kept saying it hurt. She was skin and bones, and I just wanted to help. Then after my auntie passed away, my grandparents came and lived with us. I can't express how hurtful it is to grow up seeing your grandparent forget who you are or who their own child is. They moved back to Portugal, and I went to go visit them, and before I left, I just knew that was the last time I was going to see my granddad, and so I said my goodbyes, and I was right. I went back to Portugal the next time to go to his funeral, and I kissed him on the cheek. I had never kissed my granddad on the cheek. He was stone cold. When he was being buried, there was a little rock made of marble beside his tombstone, and I took it with me, and I still have it to this day. This all this pain sent me back to counselling yet again. And then came the biggest shock of all. As though life itself hadn't shocked me enough, I realised I was gay. Being that I was brought up religiously, this caused huge torment inside of me, like a huge battle within two halves of myself, and I was losing, and caused me to self-harm. And again, I was sent back to counselling. The counselling helped me find myself and to accept myself. I fell in love for the first time, despite having told me several times that she loved me. One day she turned around and she said that she actually never loved me at all, and this broke my heart. I had trust issues before her, and when we got into a relationship I told her I came with baggage, and she said she was down, but I don't think she understood what that meant. And several weeks after she broke up with me, became extremely anorexic, and I grew this unhealthy relationship with food. All that I would consume was cigarettes and lots of coffee. Then I went to university, and it was at university where I met Georgia. At first she just wanted to bang and bail, but she didn't know me, and that I was not like that at all. I asked her out on a date, and 3 years later, we're still dating. Georgia introduced me to veganism, and it was through that I was able to conquer my anorexia. Now we have our own home, and we have 2 beautiful fur babies, Aspen and Erin. And every week I accomplish something on my bucket list. Now, many people may look at my story and think, well, that's depressing, or they feel sorry for me. But by no means do I want people to feel sorry for me. I don't find my story negative in any way. In fact, when I look at my past, sometimes it hurts a little bit, and sometimes I miss people that I have no other choice but to miss. But the majority of the time, I see how far I've come and how much I've grown, how life has taught me to be tough. And through this, by sharing this, I want other people to be able to get to a point, no matter what they're experiencing, to also get to the point where I am, where you can look back on your life and not see the pain, not see the anger or the hurt, and just see the growth, the resilience, and the toughness and the strength that life has taught you. Because the lessons that we go through and the struggles that are put in our lives are put there to help us grow. And there is a quote by Helen Keller that says, "Life is a daring adventure or nothing at all." With this in mind, I believe that my life has been a crazy adventure, with a journey that was destined for me, to strengthen me and to build me. Your adventure is giving you power that you cannot see at the moment, but you will. This adventure that you're going on is going to make you smart, it's going to make you courageous, and it's going to make you beautiful. This is my story, this is my adventure, and from here on out I get to choose where it goes. There will surely be things that will come in the future that I have no control over, but the things that I do have control over, I will control. Before I log off, let me ask you one thing. What adventure will you choose?